So today's big story is, of course, the pursuit of Manchester United after Everton central defender Jarrad Branthwaite. The BBC, The Athletic, a number of outlets in England are reporting that he's Man United's main transfer target. Currently valued on our website at €42 million, but of course reports are suggesting that transfer fee might be much higher than that, going as high as €70 to €75 million. Ewan, let's just jump straight into this. Branthwaite was actually one of the players shortlisted for our Defender of the Year awards in the Premier League. We talked a lot about him. It's definitely worth people going back to that video on our YouTube channel. It wasn't so long ago. How good do you think he is? How well do you think he'll fit into Man United? And perhaps most importantly, what kind of a hole does he have to fill in this team? Because Erik Ten Hag's side have had a lot of changes already this summer, haven't they?
Yeah, I think he's good. I think he's potentially very, very good. Determining how good he is on the scale will come down to the sample size. We've only had one season of watching in the Premier League. He was very, very good. In the Eredivisie the season before that, with PSV, Ruud van Nistelrooy spoke incredibly highly about the player. If you look at his skill set, he's left-footed. Some people think he's right-footed. That's how good he is off both feet. He's quick, he's strong, and he's fairly good in the air. So looking for a modern centre half, he has all the kind of characteristics you should look for. In terms of his valuation, maybe Sir Jim Ratcliffe's been reading Transfermarkt and looking at our valuation, because that's the kind of region where the reporting bid was put in over the weekend at about €41-42 million, which Everton have also rejected. Again, we talk about the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules. Everton might be under pressure to sell before June the 30th, so Manchester United are probably looking for a bargain. But we know how transfers usually go. There's obviously a little bit of negotiating around the table. I think this deal will probably be done in the summer. There's talks that United might leave the deal because Everton rejected the first offer, but that's just negotiations. I think this deal will be done this summer. In terms of Manchester United, they badly need a new centre-back. Obviously, Raphael Varane's left the club in the summer. I think that's predominantly due to his massive wages. You've seen his performance levels in the FA Cup final against Man City. When he's fit, he's still a top-class player, but he's just not fit for long enough. And due to that fitness, you can't pay him the amount of money Manchester United were paying him. So need a new centre-back to come in alongside Lissandro Martinez to start next season. And it looks like Branthwaite is the player that Manchester United want.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, Lindelof was actually linked with a move away this morning as well. So a lot of movement there. And of course, Branthwaite, one of Everton's most important players, more or less stayed up last season based on the defensive football they played, and Branthwaite was the key one there. I think the other one's probably Onana, the defensive midfielder, who's been linked with a move away as well. I think Everton would probably look to cash in on one of those two players this summer to kind of keep in line with those kind of financial deals. Ben, I'm quite intrigued by how Branthwaite makes a step up from Everton to Man United, because it's kind of impossible not to kind of draw parallels to Harry Maguire and his move from Leicester City. And I mean, this is just my personal opinion, but I think where Maguire struggled at Man United over the years is because he went from a very defensive system where he had a little less space behind him to worry about. He was playing deeper, wasn't really expected to be that kind of playmaking central defender. All of a sudden, he moves to Old Trafford. He's playing 20, 30 feet higher up the pitch, probably playing in a team that's not nearly as disciplined as Man United, the Leicester team he came from. As we know, Man United have gone through a lot of managers, a lot of tactics, and a lot of systems. Do you think these there are any genuine parallels there, or do you think Branthwaite's a different type of player to Maguire and he can make that step up and play for a more attacking team?
Well, I think Branthwaite's a lot quicker than Maguire. So in terms of getting caught on the counter-attack, you wouldn't have that problem. I think Branthwaite's a really good player. One parallel I would personally compare is I think if Man United do go and splash 70, 80 million euros on this summer, I think it's a really bad move and it's not really a thought-out plan by the club. I know Jarrad Branthwaite is very two-footed, like you and alluded to, he's very good with his right foot, but he's predominantly, throughout his career so far, when he's looked good at Everton, when he's looked good at PSV, he's played left centre-back. Man United have a very good left centre-back, albeit he's been injured majority of this season, but Lissandro Martinez, when fit, is probably one of the first names on Man United's team sheet. So this deal kind of screams to me like Ineos are coming in, they're trying to do a big statement signing, we're going to pay 70 million for one of England's best young centre-backs, rather than actually being a well-thought-out plan and thinking the real gaping area in our defence right now is that right centre-back role. We need to sign a right-footed centre-back to come in and play that role. I know you can counter that by saying Branthwaite's good with his right foot, but it's not going to be as natural still. I just think they should be looking at other areas, and it screams out not really a well thought plan. As much as I think Branthwaite's an amazing player, and I think he's got a very good future, I'm just not sure it's the right move for Man United, what they need this summer.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point. I hadn't really thought about it in terms of Lissandro Martinez and where Branthwaite fits into that team. I'll let you actually respond to that in a moment. You also want to throw something else at you, and maybe a little more optimistic than Ben was suggesting there. But, if we do kind of want to put a positive shine on Ten Hag's time at Man United, you would say that he's actually done a decent job of prioritising the younger players in the team, sometimes to the detriment of their older, more established players. But, if you kind of think of what Man United fans have got off the scene being excited about, it's been Kobe Maiano, it's Garnacho, Højlund, younger players like that. And I guess you could kind of see the interest in Man United signing a guy like Branthwaite and saying to Ten Hag, right, do what you did with these young players with this central defender, and suddenly we have the beginnings of a kind of young spine that we can build a team around going forward.
Yeah, completely. I think that's probably one of the main reasons that Ten Hag's still in a job is the work he's done with bringing in younger players. You've seen Kobe Mainoo react today saying he's delighted there Ten Hag's staying. How much he's grateful for what he's done for his career. Same with Alejandro Garnacho. You've got other youngsters on the periphery as well who I think could break through next season. I mean, Harry Mass at left back, maybe a bit too young, but he could well be a first team player in the future. And it's a good point. If you look at Manchester United's composition of the squad, I think moving forward they'll try and get the average age of the squad down, and they'll stop signing players that are entering their 30s on 300, 400 grand a week, because that obviously isn't a sustainable model moving forward. And on to Ben's point, it's completely right. Manchester United reported to have a limited transfer budget this summer. It doesn't make sense to go and spend 70 odd million on Jarrad Branthwaite, because that'll limit what you can do in other areas. And I think the centre back market this summer is quite good. There's quite a lot of players available in that position, quite a lot of alternatives compared to, for example, the striker market, which is it's the real dearth of kind of quality out there. You look at someone like Benjamin Sesko is perhaps a big name. He's obviously going to stay at Leipzig. There's not a huge amount of centre forwards available this summer. So there's De Ligt's available, and Todibo from Nice. You think that'd be quite an easy deal to do, given Jim Ratcliffe's involvement in the club over there. There's Lenny Yoro at Lille as well. He's a fantastic centre back. Yoro would be my first option for Manchester United, but I don't think Manchester United will be his first option. In terms of Ben's point on Martinez, is really true. I think Pep Guardiola said after the FA Cup final that Lissandro Martinez is one of the top 5 centre backs in the world. I'm not sure I'd go quite that far yet, just due to his injury record, but he's a top defender. I think he's a potentially world class player on that left hand side. So you are signing a player of huge potential in Branthwaite, but he's not really played on that right hand side too much. So there is a huge element of risk there, because I think sometimes it goes underestimated how important playing on the left and the right can be. There's quite a difference to playing both those positions in terms of build up. So it could be a risk, but I think United's thinking behind it will be that they could potentially sign a centre back for the next 10 years who's going to stay at the club and be a starter for England. So it's about weighing up the kind of the risk.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the rumour. That's the kind of bottom line for any transfer story, isn't it? And when it comes to Man United, they tend to be a little riskier than most clubs, it would seem, considering the amount of money they've spent in recent years. But Man United fans, you can of course let us know in the comments below what you think. You can head over to Transfermarkt and head to our Man United page. We have a forum there where we're discussing all the players who've been linked to the club in recent days. Jarrad Branthwaite's obviously top of the forum, but there's Hoffenheim striker Maximilian Bayer, Matthijs de Ligt, the Bayern Munich defender, Jonathan David, at Lille, Ivan Toney, Joshua Zirkzee, etc., etc., etc. So all plenty of things to sink your teeth into if you're a Man United fan. You just head over to our forum, sign up and get chatting. And until next time, let us know what you think of this video. Like and subscribe if you enjoy it, and we'll speak to you soon.